new direction. Folks, the people of this nation have spoken. They've delivered us a clear victory, a convincing victory, a victory for we the people, one with the most votes ever cast on a presidential ticket in the history of the nation, 74 million. What I must admit has surprised me. Tonight, we're seeing all over this nation, all cities and all parts of the country, indeed across the world, an outpouring of joy, of hope, renewed faith. Tomorrow, bring a better day. I'm humbled by the trust and confidence you've placed in me. I pledge to be a president who seeks not to divide, but unify, who doesn't see red states and blue states, only sees the United States, and work with all my heart, with the confidence of the whole people, to win the confidence of all of you. And for that is what America, I believe, is about.
Jake, this was certainly the kind of speech that at least half of the country had been so anxiously waiting to hear for 4 years.
That's right, more than half of the voters at the very least. Let's check in with Arlette Saenz, who is with the Biden campaign in Wilmington, Delaware. Arlette, what's the latest?
Well, Jake, things have wrapped up here at the Chase Center as the crowd heard from the President-elect Joe Biden for the first time. A message of unity is what he was projecting this evening, acknowledging the disappointment of people who may have voted for President Trump, but telling them to try to give each other a chance. He also talked about the need to move away from demonization that you've seen play out in politics over the past few years. And as Joe Biden spoke here in his native Delaware, hometown crowd, he also started to look forward a bit to what these next few weeks are going to look like. He specifically in that speech mentioned that he will be announcing his team on Monday to address the coronavirus pandemic. We are told that that is really going to be the center of this campaign. During the campaign, Biden centered so much of it on the need to tackle that crisis, and he has made clear that he wants to get immediately to work, not waiting until he's in the White House to start addressing these issues. He has talked about how he wants to start reaching out to Republican and Democratic governors to hear about the needs that that need to have addressed in their states as the coronavirus pandemic is still raging across the country. Now, over the course of the campaign, Joe Biden spoke very little about the transition. He's superstitious and did not want to get ahead of himself. But in these coming days, he will be diving into that transition work as he and Kamala Harris prepare for their path to the White House over these next few months. Now, one thing that still remains unclear is there has been any outreach to or from the White House. The Biden campaign, his advisors have not addressed at this moment, but that is something that we will be watching, whether there is any type of communication between him and President Trump in these coming weeks as he is putting this transition together.
Yeah, I mean, this is about the governance of the United States of America, 300 million people. This doesn't have to do with anybody being petulant. Arlette Saenz, thanks so much. Appreciate the reporting. Let's check in with Caitlin Collins, who's at the White House. And Caitlin, you heard what Arlette just said. the Biden team not really addressing whether or not they have heard from the outgoing president of the United States. Can you shed any light for us?
Yeah, we can tell you that there has not been any outreach. The president has not made any calls to former Vice President Joe Biden. And because, of course, if the president hasn't made any calls, that likely means that Vice President Mike Pence hasn't made any calls to the senator as well. So no outreach yet from the president. We actually have not heard from him in several hours since he returned from his golf course earlier, which is where he was when CNN made the call that Joe Biden was projected to win the presidency. And then the president drove back to Washington in a motorcade that wove through streets that were filled with thousands of people cheering them fact that Joe Biden has won and Donald Trump has lost the presidency and will not be reelected to a second term. So that's why it was so notable in that speech there. As you listen to Joe Biden, he did not mention Donald Trump, and he did not mention any call coming from President Trump to talk about his victory here. And that's so different, Jake, because I went back and reread what Donald Trump said in 2016, the night that he was elected. And right out of the bat, he opened and said, I just got a call from Secretary Clinton. He congratulated her in turn on a hard-fought campaign. None of that tonight, Jake, because the president has not called Joe Biden. And this comes as the president is publicly and falsely saying that he won the election. We know that is not the case. And, Jake, I'm told that privately the president has also acknowledged that this is the outcome of the election and he has lost. But he's not saying that publicly, and instead he's encouraging his attorneys to move forward with these legal challenges, knowing that it will delay potentially the formal certification of these election results.
Yeah, we had Republican election attorney Ben Ginsburg look at the lawsuits and complaints, and as of now, they all seem to be without merit, with the one exception of the one having to do with ballots in Pennsylvania that came after the election that have not been included in any count. So it just seems like a lot of frivolousness. To what end, Caitlin? I mean, it doesn't matter if he accepts or is in denial. He's going to be leaving that building. It's just a question about whether or not he wants to look like a sore loser and a petulant child, or whether or not he's going to be a man, an adult. And
his advisors are realizing that. The question is, can people successfully break through to the president? Because this is a president who has long run on this pattern of creating a lot of noise about something, as he did, at the start of his political career when he promoted the birther conspiracy about President Obama. He basically can create a lot of noise around something that makes people believe what he's saying, even though there's no evidence around it. And it's kind of following a similar pattern here, where the president is challenging the results. It's going to allow some of his supporters to also question the legitimacy of Joe Biden, and that's a dangerous thing. And of course, the president's allies realize that. People who work in this White House realize it. I'm sure the Vice President, Mike Pence, someone who has been a long time in politics, also realizes it. But by doing this, the president can delay the formal certification of the results. He can cast doubt on Joe Biden's victory, and for the president, who obviously does not want to lose, that is what he's going to do. So he will, at some point, Jake, have to come to terms with reality. He will have to actually leave the White House. He can't deny that, but he can go and not grant Joe Biden, the public acceptance of his victory, which is likely what he's doing. It's definitely what he's doing right now, likely what he's going to continue to do for the next several days.
I guess we shouldn't expect anything different. Caitlin Collins, thanks so much. Appreciate it. And Abby, before we came back from break, you and I were talking about the fact that I saw a tweet from a writer at Reason Magazine who said that he thinks in many ways perhaps Joe Biden was the only Democrat that could have beat Donald Trump. To give Donald Trump his due, he is a political force. Despite acting the way, or maybe because of acting the way he acts, 70 million people voted for him. It was an election that was not an immediate landslide, as a lot of Democrats were hoping it would be. It took some time to count the ballots, and some of the states were pretty close. But Biden, it seems to be in many ways, was the right person at the right time.
Yeah, and I think the Democrats 4 years ago widely believe that they underestimated Donald Trump, and they didn't do that this time around, understanding that what Trump did 4 years ago was really change the political landscape for the Republican Party. I think a lot of people believed that the demographic change in the country, even Republicans believed this. If you read their autopsy report after Mitt Romney lost in 2012, they believed that the demographic change would force the party to appeal more to more diverse constituencies. And what Donald Trump did was say, no, we can just bring out more of white America, white working class America. And I think that has changed the dynamic for a little bit of time. And Joe Biden is a candidate who was chosen by black voters, principally, I should say, chosen by black voters to take that on directly. Someone who a lot of black voters primary believed was the only person in the primary who could adequately speak to people in the upper Midwest, in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, beyond. And it turns out.
We were talking on what was election night, however, 5 days ago, about the fact that Joe Biden was likely, I think you said it, Abby, Joe Biden was likely to hold a different coalition than any Democrat had before. I mean, most winning candidates have unique coalitions. Biden did that in such a way that he really was a unique figure who could build back that blue wall because he was so reliable. And David Axelrod was saying he remembers in 2008, because he had such a connection in those areas, they parked him in those areas because it's genuine.
So I want to play just a little bit from President-elect Biden's acknowledgement, appreciation, thanks for his victory, in which he acknowledges, mentioned Abby, how the black community got him there. Take a listen.
The African-American community stood up again for me. You've always had my back, and I'll have yours.
So there's, I would say, in addition to that, in addition to having the black community having his back, which is obviously a huge part of his victory, there are other things that made Joe Biden the candidate who could beat Trump. And there are a lot of people who thought that maybe a fresh face like or like Warren or Sanders might be able to do a better job. In this theory of the case, it's only Biden. A couple other reasons. One, according to this theory of the case, Joe Biden is such a known quantity. He's been in politics for 47 years. He was vice president for 8, including Barack Obama's vice president. Therefore, the demonizations, the attack from Trump failed to stick.
Yeah.
People thought they knew him. They felt that they knew him. They knew Joe Biden, and you couldn't make him into this sleazy, disgusting, leering, gross person.
There's something else, though, is that Donald Trump couldn't get out of his own way to attack Joe Biden in such a way that it would stick. What I mean is, every time the campaign would try to define Joe Biden, which is code for attack Joe Biden in political parlance, the president would mess it up by doing something on his Twitter feed.
He comes across as cruel. He can even, as in the first debate, come across as emotionally abusive at times. The difference between a guy like Donald Trump and a guy like Joe Biden on the issue of compassion and empathy was so stark that there was nowhere to go if that was a quality that was important to you, other than Joe Biden. Joe Biden has a stutter. His campaign, the Trump campaign, Trump's daughter-in-law would make fun of it. Joe Biden would go and embrace people with disabilities. Donald Trump would make fun of them. And in fact, somebody from the disabled community just reached out to me on social media and said this is the first time he had ever heard a president acknowledge the disability community in a speech. I don't pay attention to these things. This is not a community that gets a lot of attention as a political force, the disabled community, although they're out there. If you follow the hashtag #CryptTheVote, you can see they're out there and they're very active. And Joe Biden said in his speech, we must make the promise of the country real for everybody, no matter their race, their ethnicity, their faith, their identity, or their disability. Something I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
But the disabled community heard it. And they're there and they vote and they have family members and they vote. And how does President Trump treat the disabled community? He makes fun of them. He makes fun of them.
I think typically we think about politicians with long histories as a liability because it makes it, in some cases, easier for them to have a long rap sheet. But for Joe Biden, it actually functioned in a completely different way in this election because it was easier for him to say, and actually the Democrats did this repeatedly during their convention. They talked repeatedly about these personal stories of Joe Biden with one person, Joe Biden with that elevator conductor at the New York Times building.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Biden
didn't get the endorsement of the editorial board. Got the elevator
not
conductor.
in the primary.
Right.
But going back to our conversation about why Joe Biden may have been perfect for this moment. It's because it's hard to demonize somebody whose life story is sympathetic and who has a history that is backed up by photographic evidence and video evidence and testimonials and people after people after people willing to come forward to say, this is the person I knew. And the Trump campaign, they were stumped by this. Republicans really preferred that the president talk about policy and fracking and taxes and the economy and not all of this other character stuff that was clearly not as effective because Joe Biden was inoculated in some ways because his story seemed to be well known to people. His tragedy and his triumphs seemed to be, people felt like they knew it, and it was hard for the president to get around that.
One thing that, if I may, want to go back to what Caitlin was reporting on about the kind of toing and froing inside Trump world right now about getting him to the place where he can concede. The fact that none of us remembers a time in our political coverage where the losing candidate doesn't give at least a speech or even a phone call. And I'm just, again, taken back to that night in November of 2008 when John McCain made that concession speech. And our friend Mark Salter was just reminding me, I remembered reading it in one of the books, about the fact that that was so powerful, not just about him and his character, but about what that means about what American democracy represents, that when McCain would travel around the world, people would recite that speech back to him because they were taught that this is what democracy should sound and look like. And
Pretty amazing.
it's amazing. Yeah. And the fact that we don't even have a phone call right now, even if it's not a concession, but just an acknowledgement like, hey, you know what? Looks like you got more votes than me. I'm not quite there yet. Let's see what these lawsuits play out. I'm just kind of, spitballing here. But nothing is telling.
President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris calling on Americans tonight to unite in the wake of a bitter and hard-fought election. We're going to take a look at the celebrations across the country tonight as our special coverage continues.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now, when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states.
I want
And
you to
MLS
experience it.
number.
I won't look at.
If you stream it, watch it, or cheer it, you'll save on it. Because Black Friday starts now at PC Richard & Son. Go big with LG OLED and LG NanoCell TVs. No need to wait till Black Friday. Save $800 now on an LG 86-inch 4K smart TV. Just $14.99. Shop safely in-store or online. Get free delivery or contactless curbside pickup. Black Friday starts now at PC Richard & Son. Shop safe, shop local.
As a small business owner, you're reimagining the way you work. From rethinking your bandwidth to reassessing your voice solutions, you're changing the way you do business. And at Cox Business, so are we. Our flexible internet and voice packages give you the solutions you need to get back to business. Rethink, reconnect, reimagine. Get 25 megs of internet and IP-centric select for only $74 per month for 6 months. No annual contract required. Ends 12/31/20. Restrictions apply. Visit coxbusiness.com for details. All services subject to Cox Business general terms.
Dunkin' is here to keep you running with a much-needed taste of normal. To work, home, or work from home, with the coffee you like just the way you like it. Whether that's a small hot black coffee, your daily 2 p.m. latte, or a bacon, egg, and cheese croissant and a medium iced coffee with oat milk, 1 sugar, 2 pumps of caramel, 1 pump hazelnut, a swirl of French vanilla, and a shot of espresso.
I call it my PM pep rally. You should really try it.
Whatever it is that gets you running, Dunkin's got you and always will. America runs on Dunkin'.
Lately, our houses have been more than homes.
4 times 4 is 16.
They've been classrooms.
Oh, you're on mute.
Offices. And for Harvard Pilgrim members, namaste. Yoga studios.
Any fevers?
The doctor's office.
That sounds really hard.
And a place to focus on your mental well-being. From virtual fitness classes to a range of telehealth options to behavioral health support, Harvard Pilgrim has benefits to access from home to help you stay healthy and happy. Learn more at harvardpilgrim.org.
Fall is here and the holidays are just around the corner, so now's a great time to upgrade your space. Lowe's has just what you need to step up your style. Stainmaster Carpet. We have hundreds of styles and colors, and options that can take on the challenge that pets, kids, and life's messiest moments bring. Stainmaster Carpet at Lowe's comes with a 90-day satisfaction guarantee, so if you change your mind, we'll replace it. Order your samples or schedule a measurement on Lowes.com or via the app. Bring on a new style that's designed for the way you live. This fall at Lowe's, U.S. only.
I'm Nora O'Donnell in Washington, D.C.
This is the moment.
The role of a journalist is to open the window into another world of experience. I feel an incredible responsibility. We have to make sure that we're right, that we're fair, but also bring Americans a greater understanding and hopefully bring Americans closer together. That's why I wanted to become a journalist.
The CBS Evening News with Nora O'Donnell. Weeknights on CBS.
Fireworks over Wilmington, Delaware was a big finish to President-elect Biden's celebration of his election victory. His speech seeking to inspire and unite the nation. Meanwhile, huge crowds of Biden supporters were inspired. They gathered in the streets of many major U.S. cities to share this moment they had been hoping for. Let's check in with our reporters first. Let's go to Gary Tuckman in Atlanta. So I see they're still partying. They're still celebrating where you are, Gary.
Well, the jubilation here in the Midtown section of Atlanta is intense. This is Atlanta's biggest dance party tonight in the streets here in Midtown. It's also its longest dance party. This has been going on for 10 hours. After CNN projected Joe Biden this morning, people started gathering out here. This is an impromptu, spontaneous party with no guest list, no start time, no end time, and people just started pouring into the streets. When this began, there were cars still in the streets. Hey, you guys, let the viewers hear me, okay? You can yell and scream, but don't say that, please. There hasn't been any violence. It's been very peaceful. People have enjoyed themselves, and that's an important thing to point out. Well, like I said, there were a lot of cars and trucks moving through in the beginning. The police closed the streets. We haven't even seen any police here, and it's been going on for 10 hours. Everything has been quiet and peaceful, relatively speaking. People have been celebrating. What was really interesting, when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris spoke, everyone got very quiet, and they started gathering at the restaurants on this street that had their TVs on, and people started watching the speech very quietly. And when the speech ended, they all came back out and started celebrating. People here take a lot of pride that the state of Georgia could possibly end up going blue, and they voted in what could be a very important election to change what's happened in the state. The last time a Democrat won was Bill Clinton in 1992. Before that, native son Jimmy Carter in 1976 and 1980. And these people have a lot of pride that their votes could mean that Georgia turns blue, and a lot of pride that Joe Biden is going to become the president of the United States. One other thing I want to point out to you, there's no social distancing here. That's not cool. Most people have been wearing their masks. It was 90 to 95%. Now it's less. That's not so cool either. But the fact is, there's been no violence, and that's certainly an important point.
Yeah, they should be wearing masks for sure. All right, Gary, thanks very much. Adrian Brodus is in Chicago for us. So, Adrian, what was it like, and what is it like over there?
Hey, Wolf, I can tell you this is a vibrant party. This is a celebration that has turned into a parade. Take a walk with me. I want you to see what we are experiencing. That is the soundtrack of victory, and it has been going on here throughout the night. We're on Michigan Avenue. Many of you at home might know this as the Magnificent Mile. Take a listen just for a quick second. And we've heard those horns blowing throughout the day, and people have been attracted to this area perhaps because of what is behind us. Take a look at what's behind us. Trump Tower. Inside, it houses condos and a hotel. Outside of Trump Tower throughout the day, we've seen people waving the flag and blowing their horns, a lot like this. Just listen for a moment. I'm not going to fight, Wolf, with the sound of victory. Earlier in the day, I spoke with a 90-year-old woman who is a civil rights activist. She told me it is a blessing to see and witness this in her lifetime. She also talked about the significance of Harris. She says too often black women work in the background, but now black women are in the front. And I spoke with some young girls earlier, said growing up, their parents often told them, you can be whatever you want to be. But that's something they really didn't believe until now. And a moment ago, a man walked by me and said, tonight, America is great. Wolf?
Yeah, so a lot of happy people over there in Chicago, Adrian. Thank you very, very much. Let's go to Philadelphia right now. Shimon Prokopez on the streets of Philadelphia. Shimon, what's happening there?
Well, Philly is certainly doing it right tonight. It's just been a party all day. Of course, Philadelphia playing such a key part in this election, and that is not lost on anyone here tonight. I just want to show you this here, Wolf. There's a DJ here. This is a rolling DJ. We've been walking now for blocks, and many of the people have been following along and dancing, and that's been the atmosphere here all day. People out celebrating. I just want to tell me what's today been like for you?
For me, today's been good. Everyone's behaving. Everyone is happy. We're a community. Humans are tribal creatures. This is a good way to display our love. Life's not that bad. We're doing pretty good.
Kamala Harris as the next vice president. How does that make you feel?
Honestly, it doesn't matter who won right now. It's the fact that we're together.
Unity is the key right now.
Unity is the key. Who cares who you voted for? We're together. It's a tribe.
And Wolf, that's been what a lot of people out here tonight certainly have been doing and saying. They want to be together and they want to be out here. And we're seeing that, Wolf.
All right, Shimon, thank you very much. Shimon's in Philadelphia for us. Let's go back to Dana.
Thank you so much, Wolf. And I'd like to bring in Kate Bedingfield, who is the deputy campaign manager, was the deputy campaign manager for the Biden campaign. First of all, congratulations, Kate. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so first,
nice to see you too.
Describe the feeling in the campaign, and specifically from the president-elect himself. I noticed at the beginning of his speech, I don't know if it was an ad-lib or what, but he made mention of what we just reported on from cities across the country, the people spilling into the streets, is celebrating. Was he expecting that? What was his reaction behind the scenes?
No, he certainly wasn't expecting it, but he was incredibly encouraged and gratified and humbled to see it. He was really moved by it. We've been really excited inside the campaign. It's obviously incredibly thrilling to see this kind of excitement and energy and outburst, and for everyone to feel so joyful about the fact that we are now going to finally turn the page on this presidency, that we're going to move forward in the spirit of unity, and that we're going to put the ugliness of the campaign season behind us and get to the hard tasks in front of us. But the fact that we're seeing people pouring out into the streets spontaneously all day to celebrate, it's just an incredibly exciting moment for the country. And the president-elect was really humbled and really gratified to see it.
And as he and the vice president-elect both said, now the hard part begins. And there's so many hard parts, it's not even clear where to start. But what he can try to do in the short term is begin to bring people together rhetorically and in other ways. How is he actually going to turn the rhetoric into action even before he takes the oath?
Yeah, well, I think you saw him start to do it tonight. He got into this race 19 months ago, making a promise to bring the country together. He talked about the need for us to unify, for us to work together to overcome the challenges that we face as Americans. And then tonight, in his first address to the nation as president-elect, you saw him start to do that. You saw him talk about the fact that we can come together. We're not always going to agree on everything. Of course we're not. But we can start to see each other again. We can start to hear each other again. And that is going to be the guiding principle of the way that he's going to lead. I think it's clearly what Americans want. We've seen, the Biden-Harris ticket has gotten the most votes of any ticket in the history of presidential politics. People overwhelmingly, came out and said, this is the kind of leadership we want. This is what we want to see happen. We, as a country, we have always been able to come together to overcome challenges, and these challenges we're facing right now are no different. So I think you saw Vice President Biden, now President-elect Biden, and Vice President-elect Harris really lay out a commitment tonight to the American people that that's the way they're going to govern. And I think that's exactly what the American people are looking for.
So we have been reporting from our White House reporters and others about the fact that the current president has no intention of conceding anytime soon, has not called your boss. Has there been any communication at all between anybody in Trump world, anybody in the campaign, and anybody in yours?
There has not, and obviously we would, we would hope that in this moment, this incredibly important moment for the country, that President Trump would choose to do the right thing, to do the thing that presidents have done for, since our country was founded. Obviously, the full transition of power is a core bedrock principle our democracy is founded on, and of course we would hope, and I think it would be a good thing for the American people to hear from President Trump, but that's his decision. Obviously, President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris are going to be focused on talking directly to the American people, starting to do the hard work of coming together, starting to do the hard work of tackling this virus as they move into the transition. So they're going to stay focused on the future and on what they're going to do as president and vice president.
So as the president-elect said tonight, he got the most, he considers it a mandate, the most votes for any candidate for president, it seems, in history. But the current president got 70 million, which is a lot of people who said that they wanted him to stay in for a second term. How is, beyond the rhetoric, how do you think that there are concrete ways for the president-elect to show that he's listening to their concerns?
Well, by speaking directly to them, by listening, by not dismissing them out of hand. I think you saw him do that throughout the campaign. Throughout the primary, there were doubts from the pundit class about whether, Joe Biden trying to appeal to a broad swath of the country was really the right way to go. But for him, that's fundamentally the way he believes. That's a core conviction that he has, that it is the obligation of a president to not just be president for the people who voted for him. So, throughout the campaign, he has talked about if he's elected, he's going to listen, he's going to reach out, he is going to make sure that people who didn't vote for him and who disagree with him feel heard. It doesn't mean they're going to agree with every policy. It doesn't mean that they're going to agree with every decision. But he fundamentally believes that treating people with dignity, that treating people with integrity is the start of that process. That's how he's always conducted himself, and that's how he'll conduct himself in the White House.
He cut many a deal with the current Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell when he was vice president and when he was a senator as well. Have the two of them spoken?
They have not, but I expect that they will. And certainly, as you say, he has a working relationship with Senator McConnell and anticipates working with him as we move forward and as he takes the White House.
And our understanding is that as a candidate, President-elect Biden was careful not to engage with world leaders, one president at a time. But now that he's president-elect, is he going to begin to reach out?
He will begin to do that in the appropriate transition process. You're absolutely right. Obviously, he believes, as you say, one president at a time. But now that we have moved into the transition process, yes, he'll begin to reach out and to have those conversations. Obviously, he believes a big piece of what he can accomplish as president is to restore America's standing in the world. And, as you heard him say tonight, for us to once again not just lead by the example of our power, but by the power of our example on the world stage. So, re-engaging with the world, rebuilding our alliances, that's going to be an important part of his presidency, and that's something that he'll start to do as we now move into the transition.
So, Kate, what happens tomorrow? He wakes up tomorrow and...
He'll be with his family. He'll take a minute to enjoy some time with his family. He's been on the campaign trail for 19 months, and then he'll continue to make calls, and the hard work of going into the transition will begin. But tomorrow he's going to take a moment to enjoy being with his family, a hard-earned day with his family.
Okay, and I can't let you go without calling out your mask with a 46 on it. I saw others were wearing it. A quick trip to the manufacturer there. Where did that come from?
We wanted to be ready. We're incredibly proud of President-elect Biden, incredibly proud of Vice President Harris, and we were eager to show it off tonight.
Barry 2020. Kate Bedingfield, you have been with the now President-elect for a very long time, and I want to say congratulations to you. I know for you and a lot of people on that campaign, there was a lot that you gave up in order to put your focus with what resulted tonight. Congrats.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Wolf, Jake, you look so different. What'd you think?
I thought it was very impressive what was going on. This was a kind of speech that is a traditional speech that a president-elect of the United States gives after a tough campaign. And you know, I've heard it before. We've covered these kinds of situations before. Tough campaign, but once you are the president-elect, you want to unite the country, bring in everybody together, and do the best as you can. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, and conservatives. One thing, Abby, Dan asked Kate what the president-elect's going to do tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, I assume he'll go to church.
Yeah.
He's a devout Catholic.
That's my guess.
And he's going to go to church and thank the Lord for what has happened.
Yeah, I would think so. He's actually been to church, it seems, pretty frequently, especially as we've gotten closer to the election. It's a touchstone for Joe Biden. It's a place where he goes because he is a devout Catholic, but because it has a lot of resident meaning for him and his family, for all the loss that he's experienced. And it'll also be, I think, if you're the Biden campaign, you're thinking, the day after you give a speech like this, what do you signal to the American people about who Joe Biden is? And I think it would be an obvious choice for him to go to church first.
He will be the second Catholic president of the United States after John F. Kennedy. Americans hear for the first time from Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as president-elect and vice president-elect, both calling on the country to unite. Our special coverage continues right after this.
When Panera's Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
As a small business owner, you're reimagining the way you work. From rethinking your bandwidth to reassessing your voice solutions, you're changing the way you do business. And at Cox Business, so are we. Our flexible internet and voice packages give you the solutions you need to get back to business. Rethink, reconnect, reimagine. Get 25 megs of internet and IP-centric select for only $74 per month for 6 months. No annual contract required. Ends 12/31/20. Restrictions apply. Visit coxbusiness.com for details. All services subject to Cox Business general terms.
No matter what kept you up last night, try Nature Made sleep supplements tonight. Scientifically developed to help you sleep so you can win the night. Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Tap to learn more.
There's more to working from home than emails, so you need Wi-Fi with reliable speed, the most in-home coverage, and built-in security. You need Xfinity XFi. That's simple, easy, awesome. Switch to Xfinity Internet and learn about our great offers. You'll get amazing value with speeds that deliver and reliable coverage you can count on. And with XFi Advanced Security, you can keep all the devices in your home connected and protected from Wi-Fi network threats. Go online, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store to learn more today. Restrictions apply.
Dunkin' is here to keep you running with a much-needed taste of normal. To work, home, or work from home with the coffee you like just the way you like it. Whether that's a small hot black coffee, your daily 2 p.m. latte, or a bacon, egg, and cheese croissant and a medium iced coffee with oat milk, 1 sugar, 2 pumps of caramel, 1 pump hazelnut, a swirl of French vanilla, and a shot of espresso.
I call it my PM pep rally. You should really try it.
Whatever it is that gets you running, Dunkin's got you and always will. America runs on Dunkin'.
Lately, our houses have been more than homes.
4 times 4 is 16.
They've been classrooms,
Oh, you're on mute.
offices, and for Harvard Pilgrim members, namaste, yoga studios,
Any fevers?
the doctor's office,
That sounds really hard.
and a place to focus on your mental well-being. From virtual fitness classes to a range of telehealth options to behavioral health support, Harvard Pilgrim has benefits to access from home to help you stay healthy and happy. Learn more at harvardpilgrim.org.
Fall is here and the holidays are just around the corner. So now's a great time to upgrade your space. Lowe's has just what you need to step up your style. Stainmaster Carpet. We have hundreds of styles and colors and options that can take on the challenge that pets, kids, and life's messiest moments bring. Stainmaster Carpet at Lowe's comes with a 90-day satisfaction guarantee. So if you change your mind, we'll replace it. Order your samples or schedule a measurement on Lowe's.com or via the app. Bring on a new style that's designed for the way you live. This fall at Lowe's, U.S. only.
Welcome to AutoZone. Dealing with battery problems? We've got you. Let's start with a free battery test. If you just need a free charge, we can help with that too. And if it's time for a new battery, we've got you covered. We're the only place you can find Duralast, the batteries more consumers choose. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination, where help is always in stock. Claims based on a proprietary consumer study and data from the NPD Group 2019.
Who voted for President Trump? I understand the disappointment tonight. I've lost a couple times myself, but now, let's give each other a chance. It's time to put away the harsh rhetoric, lower the temperature, see each other again, listen to each other again. And to make progress, we have to stop treating our opponents as our enemies. They are not our enemies. They are Americans. They're Americans.
President-elect Joe Biden earlier tonight. What a strange next couple of days it's going to be. I mean, transitions are always odd, but this one in particular, I want to show a picture from November 10th in 2016. This was
awkward.com.
President Obama inviting then President-elect Donald Trump to the Oval Office. Awkward, yes, but traditional, and that is what traditionally happens. Do you foresee a meeting like this happening?
No, I don't.
It's November, 7th? So that was November 10th.
I really don't. Donald Trump is somebody who wouldn't even unveil the president's portrait inside the White House. So graciousness is not something that I think comes naturally to him. And I think Biden is all about relationships, and he doesn't burn bridges, and he believes you can't expect loyalty unless you give it. So they're completely different human beings. And there's no doubt in my mind that if the roles were reversed, Trump would be in the White House meeting with the president.
By the end of today, though, you know, the train has left the station.
Yeah.
This thing is moving. There's momentum to it. Other Republicans, other world leaders have reached out. At a certain point, President Trump, the calculus, I assume, would be what sets me up for whatever this next chapter of my life is going to be. Does being the person who never met with the president, who didn't go to the inauguration, who, leaves with a bag of grievances that I was, robbed, does that set him up for his career in, television or podcasting or whatever he's going to be doing?
For him. First of all, I think that the notion that he was not treated fairly and that this election wasn't fair is central to his narrative, and we've discussed before, I don't think he's not going to leave a loser.
Right.
He's going to leave as someone who was robbed, and grievance is so central to his political project, but that I think, yes, whether it's running the resistance from some television outlet, which I think is the most likely thing, or anything, I think that he will leave on that basis. So we're not going to see a picture like that. But I think the Biden people are, and the vice president himself, the president-elect, is handling it exactly the right way. The train is leaving the station, and what it says is that these institutions of our democracy, even if Donald Trump disdains them, they have power, they have meaning, and they're going to go forward without him. I just want to say one other thing. I said a long time ago that presidential elections are MRIs for the soul. Whoever you are, you're looked at so closely. People know who you are by the end. Joe Biden benefited from that. People saw his soul in this campaign, and he's a good soul. And that's what they wanted in their president right now. And just one shout out. I don't have a long list, Van, so just give me one. Mike Donilon is a strategist who I've worked with in the past. He was involved in the Obama campaign, been with Biden for years. I think he's written most of the words that Biden has spoken, written words that Biden has spoken with Biden, and has, I think, part of the message discipline of this campaign, even when it was hard during the primary, was because of their relationship and Mike's brilliance, and that has paid off, and he deserves to get some credit.
Before we get to Van's Oscar nomination speech, where he goes and thanks everybody and all that.
It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. I just want to say that, what we're hearing from the Trump White House is that the president is willing to concede if certain conditions are met, and the answer is what conditions, that he's comfortable that he has run the race through the tape, which is that that this race was conducted fairly, and that they've pursued all of the allegations, and all you need to do is pick up your phone and you'll see allegations and allegations and allegations. His legal team is telling him they have a case, and so the president's going to follow through with that. But I think the idea that somehow, as was suggested the other day, that we're going to have to, transport the president out of there, that's just ridiculous. But time is going to be necessary for the campaign and the lawyers to run the traps. You look, Georgia's 9,000 votes, Arizona's 19, Pennsylvania's 37, and there's still votes to be counted. And now the projectors say, well, we know what those votes are, but President Trump has a right to see what those votes are.
I got an email 10 minutes ago from the Trump-Pence committee. They're trying to steal this election.
They're still saying it.
No, I understand that. My point is,
the question is
the president needs to be convinced they haven't done that.
Right.
That's my point.
I understand the president feels he needs to be convinced. Is the president just an adult enough to actually call the president-elect and say just that? To say, you know what? Congratulations on the race you run. I want to play this out in the courts, but and that's what we're going to do, as opposed to a press release saying the election's been stolen, he's going to continue to go on Fox saying that. There's ways to do that are adult, and there's ways to do that.
There's ways to do things, and then there's Donald Trump's ways of doing things. And Donald Trump does things not the way Joe Biden would, or a whole lot of other people who have occupied that House, or with the Congress, for that matter.
So for you, for Joe Biden, for President-elect Biden, moving forward at the end of this day, what your final thoughts for?
Well, I mean, I guess, for me, this has been a morality play. You got to remember, you got a whole generation of kids who saw their parents get completely obsessed with politics. Somebody said, Mommy, how long are you going to be watching the MAP show talking about John King? And those kids are trying to figure out how the world works. They're trying to figure out what's right and what's wrong. And, to Axelrod's point, I think it should be clear to every kid that the guy you want to be like is the Joe Biden guy. The guy who, when you win, you're nice to your opponent. The guy, when he wins, he's trying to be good. The guy you don't want to be like is the one that's a sore loser, that won't shake the other guy's hand, that seems to be more concerned about himself than the rest of the team. And to me, that's the most important thing. But we'll get to policy. We'll get to all of that stuff. We'll get executive orders. We'll have all that kind of stuff. But this weekend is a great weekend to be a parent, as I said before. And for all the young people who are watching this stuff, it turns out that sometimes nice guys finish first.
And can I just say one more thing about Biden? When you think of the sweep of his life and where he is now, one of his former staffers said to me, and it just has stuck with me, she said to me, the worst thing that you can imagine happening to you, which is losing a child, has happened to him twice.
Yeah.
And yet, he survived, he persevered, he found a purpose, which he always talks about. And you have to think about him that maybe the next political step is not what he's all about right now at this point in his life. Maybe it's about getting things done. And you have to think about that when you think of Biden in the political world. So will he make deals? Will he anger some people on the left? He has a purpose. He's been through a lot. He's not a young guy.
Yeah, you know who he is. That's who he is.
And there's a sense that that matters because of where he is and where the country is.
That's a great point, because he has the freedom, if he chooses to seize it,
Yeah.
of someone who has no other
Yeah.
no other race in his future, who doesn't have to be making those long-term calculations, and who can take risks for the greater good. And if he takes advantage of that, great things can happen.
I also think it's important. One of the messages that Joe Biden said tonight was about, the grim era of demonization, and I think that's something that all of us should think about, not just in the political world, but just, we've so gotten used to feeling it's okay to kind of say things to other people in ways, I want to take responsibility. A couple of days ago, I said a cruel thing I used words I shouldn't have toward the president, and got a lot of pickup, and people thought it was funny and stuff. But I've been spending the last couple of days just
felt bad about it,
terrible about it, because it's just it's not who I am, and it's not who I want to be. I don't want to be that person. Other people can be that person on, Comedy Central or whatever, but that's not my job, and it's not the citizen I want to be. So I just feel like all of us, and I feel bad about it, and I think all of us, and I am personally going to be thinking a lot about in the days ahead and the weeks ahead about the words I use and the tone that I want to set in my own life for my own child.
Yeah, we've got to find the humanity in each other, and that is a strength of Biden's.
He brings out good things.
The ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes and try and see the world through their eyes and their experience. That's what you have to do if you're a legislator and you're trying to work with people who have different views to get something done. Is you have to try and figure out what is their perspective, what are they, and he has a gift for that, and for the empathy thing is not just about comforting people. It's also helpful in dealing with people.
Let's go back to Wolf and Abby.
All right, Anderson, thanks very much. It's been an incredible, very long, Dana and Abby, 5
We
days.
were sitting. You had to stand for like 5 days straight.
We didn't get
the
much
Iron
sleep.
Man of television.
We work, but it's a privilege to be able to cover a story like
sure
this.
is.
It's a blessing indeed. But let's look ahead. Give us a final thought. What you're going to be looking for.
It's kind of along the lines of what I was trying to ask Kate Bedingfield, which is rhetoric matters, but there are things that Joe Biden and his team can do to make moves towards the 70 million people who said that they wanted President Trump to have another term. And how they actually act on those is going to be very interesting for me to watch, not just this week, but from now until Inauguration Day.
He said a lot of the most positive things about seeking to cooperate, work together, bring the country together.
Yeah.
Yes, we have differences, but we need to unite. And that's easier said than done.
Oh, absolutely. And it's so difficult even now because of this environment that we are in. The country is in the middle of a pandemic that is getting worse by the day. The economic crisis is severe. And frankly, there's still only one president, but that president feels absent, and he is silent and seems to be cloaking himself in conspiracies. And it's creating a vacuum that is different for Joe Biden than it might be for any other president in waiting in history. He has to fill that vacuum now, which is why we're going to hear him on Monday rolling out a coronavirus task force. One thing that I was surprised to find was that the Biden campaign didn't also roll out an economic task force because of these twin problems that this country is facing. So we will see if that will come in the future. But this is an unprecedented time for a president-elect, and there is no time really to wait until January 20th. And you sense that the Biden campaign and now the Biden transition believes that that is the case.
We know, because of our reporting, that over these past several months, the Biden team already has had a transition team getting ready for what obviously is now going to happen. They've been working very hard on this, so they will be ready.
Which is required. It's not that they were being presumptuous, right? That's required.
And a lot of them have a ton of experience working in the White House,
True.
elsewhere in the government, so they know what they're doing. We'll watch it all very, very closely. We're going to have much more on this truly, truly historic night. Our special coverage continues. That's coming up next with Chris Cuomo and Don Lemon right after a short break. Thanks very much.
Our trust has been broken in our leaders,
in our institutions, even with some of our friends. And we are hurting. Now more than ever, we need each other to listen, to learn from one another, to rebuild those bonds. Because trust shows that we believe in the good in each other. It's what makes us human. And when we trust one another, that is when we can truly achieve great things.
With the Ninja Foodie Power Pitcher.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now, when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
As a small business owner, you're redefining business as usual. From rethinking the way you work to reassessing your bandwidth, you're changing the way you do business. And at Cox Business, so are we. With flexible internet packages to get you back to business. Rethink, reconnect, reimagine. Get 25 megs of internet for only $55 per month for 6 months. No annual contract required. Ends 12/31/20. Restrictions apply. Visit coxbusiness.com for details. All services subject to Cox Business general terms.
Dunkin' is here to keep you running with a much-needed taste of normal. To work, home, or work from home. With the coffee you like, just the way you like it. Whether that's a small hot black coffee, your daily 2 p.m. latte, a bacon, egg, and cheese croissant, and a medium iced coffee with oat milk, 1 sugar, 2 pumps of caramel, 1 pump hazelnut, a swirl of French vanilla, and a shot of espresso.
I call it my PM pep rally. You should really try it.
Whatever it is that gets you running, Dunkin's got you and always will. America runs on Dunkin'.
Lately, our houses have been more than homes.
4 times 4 is 16.
They've been classrooms,
Oh, you're on mute.
offices, and for Harvard Pilgrim members, namaste, yoga studios,
Any fevers?
the doctor's office,
That sounds really hard.
and a place to focus on your mental well-being. From virtual fitness classes to a range of telehealth options to behavioral health support, Harvard Pilgrim has benefits to access from home to help you stay healthy and happy. Learn more at harvardpilgrim.org.
Fall is here and the holidays are just around the corner, so now's a great time to upgrade your space. Lowe's has just what you need to step up your style. Stainmaster Carpet. We have hundreds of styles and colors and options that can take on the challenge that pets, kids, and life's messiest moments bring. Stainmaster Carpet at Lowe's comes with a 90-day satisfaction guarantee. So if you change your mind, we'll replace it. Order your samples or schedule a measurement on Lowe's.com or via the app. Bring on a new style that's designed for the way you live. This fall at Lowe's, U.S. only.
And I need some favors. When you're singing in the shower, just try going up a key. You're trying to be an alto when really you're a soprano. Oh, and if you could bundle your renters and car insurance with Geico, it's easy to do online and we could save money. And then when you read your murder mysteries at night, could you read out loud? But skip the murder parts because I get scared.
Geico. For bundling made easy, go to geico.com today.
With summer beginning to fade, there are lots of new arrivals at Ocean State Job Lot. We've got the clothing you need as the season changes, including sweatshirts and hoodies, better dorm pants, and sweaters. Of course, all of your personal protective products, including masks, shields, hand sanitizers, sanitizing wipes, infrared thermometers, and even finger pulse oximeters are available at exceptional prices. School supplies, home electronics, health and beauty products, pet supplies, and an enormous selection of fancy foods are all available at Ocean State Job Lot.
Welcome to CNN's special election coverage as it continues. I'm Chris Cuomo with, of course, Don Lemon. Good to see you. Sharing history once again. And tonight is a big night for America. What does it mean? Well, we'll discuss it together. But we know this. For now, we have a president-elect, Joe Biden. And he came out, he addressed the nation, he gave a call to give each other a chance. Time to heal. And literally, he's right. We are sick from COVID right now and a poison politics that is every bit as virulent, Don. How you feeling?
I almost can't talk right now because of the emotion that we will get to. So I'm not sure how much I want to say right off the top. But yeah, you know, I've said all along, we have two viruses that's infecting this country, and that's COVID and racism. And what we witnessed tonight was the complete opposite of racism, with the diversity, with the acknowledgement of all kinds of people, with someone saying they want to represent even the people who didn't vote for him. We have been starving for that in this country, and it has nothing to do with being a Democrat or a Republican, or being conservative or independent or liberal. It's about human decency. So I have to be quite honest with you. The entire day, I was asleep because we got off the air at what, 7 this morning? I forget. It's been going back and forth, 7, 8, 9. Morning, I went and had breakfast with my fiance, right? I'm a black man, a gay American. I live in New York City. I went and had breakfast with my fiance. I haven't had that much time to spend with him. We had breakfast. I went home. I went to sleep. I am staying in a hotel because of these crazy hours, not far from here. I'm on the 40th floor, Chris. I heard people cheering 40 floors below me. And I woke up and I said, what is going on? And I opened the drapes and I could see the city around me. People were cheering in New York City. I turned the television on and there were my colleagues. That Joe Biden had become the president-elect of the United States, and not to forget Kamala Harris, the first black woman. I didn't expect to be so overwhelmed by that. I didn't realize the PTSD that many marginalized people, that African Americans, women, people of color, white people, PTSD that people are feeling around this country because we have had whiplash from someone who only cares about himself and not uniting people. Chris, over just the last 6, 7, 8 months, you and I have been together. We're sick. I worried. I thought one of my best friends was going to die. We have more than 200,000 Americans who have died. And as a journalist, we have an obligation to tell the truth. And we've been telling the truth about what this administration and this president has been doing with this virus. And so you got sick. I lost a close childhood friend. I lost a close adult friend. Both of them died from complications from COVID. Came George Floyd. And I had to sit and cover that story. We all did. About a man who died on the street. And